It's all fun and games until someone gets hurt. So once again, we are revisiting the opposite Mediterranean draw, or the cradle draw, which has been nicknamed recently, or the impossible draw. And I want to emphasize again, I'm not here to prove who's right and wrong. We're here as archers, we're here as students, we're here to learn, investigate, and have a bit of fun. So this isn't a personal video or response video. I just want to raise some of the things which have been very poignant and sometimes overlooked. Now, I'm not the best authority on this, but as someone who teaches archery, I do see when people are having a very hard time with their bodies. Now, I don't shoot war bows. I'm not qualified or trained to shoot war bows, so I don't tell people, hey, you're wrong, don't do that. That's not my business. But I am concerned when I see people who are doing things which don't look right. All right? There's a difference between someone who's watching going, oh yeah, you can do anything you want, and someone who has been through and seen people struggle with injury trying to do the same sort of thing. And the point I want to emphasize here is that there has to be a reason why some methods are preferred rather than others. And one of those reasons may be safety. One of the things I have said about this technique is the potential for danger. And people have kind of taken and go, oh, you know what you're doing, if you know what you're doing, you're okay. And well, again, I'm not here to say that you can't do it. My experience with the technique so far from a light bow is that it tends to be a little erratic and it does tend to go to the right. Now, practice could perhaps fix this, but from my experience and from some of the videos I've seen so far, there's a very strong right bias. So we're shooting towards this way and we're right-handed, the arrow tends to deflect towards the right by quite a fair margin. Part of it is because of arrow pinch, or the arrow coming off, or the arrow deflecting, or knocking the thumb. These are all small reasons, but it's a consistent problem. And many people will look at the good group and go, well, it works over here, I can hit the middle. But if you ignore the wayward shots and the frequency of it happening, then I think we're being a bit over selective. But that isn't the point of today's video. Today's video is more about the physical safety of this technique. Now, again, a lot of people have been repeating some general statements, some anecdotal evidence. I'm not here to highlight particular people, but there's been an increasing trend where people are just simplifying the technique as it's fast on the right side and it has better body alignment. But when people seem to suggest that I need to prove that it's ineffective or prove that it's dangerous, I'm not sure exactly what you want me to do, because you don't really prove negatives. And if you want me to prove it's dangerous, you're basically asking me to either shoot intentionally badly or willfully injure myself. And this might be a very brazen statement to say that this technique will injure somebody. But look, somebody already has been injured. Now, some of you may know of Jack from Historical Archery. Now, he's been on and off the YouTube scene for the last 5 or so years, and we've clashed in the past, funny enough. I know some people have said I tend to be a little biased and critical when I don't like someone, and look, Jack's someone who I didn't like in the past, and we've butted heads a few times. He still sometimes takes pot shots on my channel, but that's not really a big thing anymore. But when Jack expresses an injury that is gone from being very headstrong to being humble, then there's something seriously wrong here. This isn't about personal vendettas or likes and dislikes or grudges. When someone gets hurt, we have to take this seriously. So Jack has been going on his own warbow journey. He's been trying to go up in draw weight to shoot very heavy bows. He shoots past 100-pound now, and he's going for the 170-pound level and above. So he's aiming for the very highest. So he's probably had the most experience in experimenting with this technique with a heavy bow. And I'll let Jack share what he's discovered.
So I've been training with the conventional draw. My muscles are more used to doing that. But when you do it with the reverse cant, it does change the muscles slightly. It doesn't matter for 50 pounds, because you're only pulling 50 pounds is not your max draw weight, then it wouldn't matter. But when you're trying to do your max draw weight, it can be a safety issue. And what ended up happening was, on the weekend, if you saw that video, when I first tried it with the reverse cant, I felt my muscle tearing here. And even now after 2 days, I feel the muscle here, it's torn. and I think it's only like a first degree, like a third degree tear, so I don't need to go to the hospital. But the tearing is hurting. I think it might take 2 or 3 months before I recover. But that tear, I felt that tear when I pulled it in this new, like this unconventional way. When you're doing the thumb draw, you don't need to cant the bow because your index finger is already applying a moment, a torque. So if you look at the thumb draw, this and all these fingers here are already providing that torque. So you don't even need to cant the bow. But when you're trying it with the Mediterranean draw and you're trying this way, if you don't cant the bow, there's a fairly decent tendency for it to fall off. And that was why I was canting it on the reverse side. But by tilting it, by canting it the reverse side, it changes the way my muscles are pulling. And that's why I feel like I sustained this injury, because my body's not used to doing it this way. I would have to train with much lighter bows if I want to try speed shooting on the other side. But in the end, I think for heavy bows, I'm gonna stick to, the Joe Gibbs style, or that's what I call it, but the conventional Mediterranean draw, because that's the way my muscles are trained. And if I want to hit 170 pounds, if I want to hit 200 pounds, I'll stick to that way.
So when I heard Jack talk about this, my first reaction was, oh my god, someone has destroyed their shoulder doing this. And all the previous shenanigans have been up to have gone out the window. Now this is actual concern, because somebody has tried this and somebody has been hurt. And I do say this not to flex, not to pull weight, not to say I told you so, but as a passionate and genuine plea to people who are trying this. Look, I know people are often driven to be different from the mainstream, where there's a collective experience, or a group, or a clique, or an echo chamber, whatever you want to call it. But when hundreds, if not thousands of people who collaborate together have a set of collective experiences which will show what is the most effective and the safest methods, maybe you should listen to them, at least listen to their concerns. Not fight them, not argue, but listen. Now, I'm not one of those experts. I don't shoot warbow. I haven't trained those methods. Maybe one day I would like to, but I'm not the expert on warbows. But I will happily defer and ask people who are. And when they tell me something which is different than what I know, then I will have to study more, understand why things are different. But if you refuse to listen and just label people as being closed-minded because they've been doing the same thing for a long time, you're ignoring all the experiences and all the mistakes that have been made along the way. Because many people won't experience this injury. Many of us who are testing this are using light bows for fun, and it's easy to test, and we can get away with light bows. Some people are using heavier and heavier bows. But what I want to emphasize is the higher up you go in draw weight, the bigger the risk, and the symptoms of injury are not always immediately obvious. And look, I don't want to use Jack as an example of schadenfreude, because I don't take enjoyment from his pain, but we've been trying to warn people of the potential dangers of this technique all along. As people try to investigate different methods and justifying through different analogies, there's a reason why conventional technique exists. The historical texts, the manuals and treatises specify one way to shoot a heavy warbow. The people who practice this today on a much more regular basis with heavy bows know this. So we didn't want to see someone try this and hurt themselves. No matter who they are or what we think of them, we don't want people to get hurt. Now, of the handful of people who've been trying this and been vocal about this online, there's like maybe 5 or 6 of us, one has been injured. And that should be a warning to the danger of being too quick to make conclusions over whether something is effective, whether something is more biomechanically effective, whether something uses better muscles. And it's a warning for those of us who aren't trying this but want to comment and repeat alleged facts, that unless it's coming from someone who actually knows what they're doing, someone who knows about the human anatomy, someone who knows about training, no one who knows about archery, unless you have someone who has experience in the field, then don't just repeat things you've heard which just make sense, because the logical things aren't always correct. And this includes me too, by the way. So I'm not the authority on archery, or especially historical war archery, but I will defer to people who do know better than I do. And I recommend that you look up to people who do teach this, who are masters of their art, and take their word for it, because they've been through this themselves. Jack, I do sincerely hope that you recover quickly. I hope that your injury isn't too severe. A shoulder injury is absolutely horrifying for an archer, and it's something which I know you'll be very upset at yourself for being unable to progress with your goal sooner rather than later. But I do hope you take your time and take it easy. This sort of thing is hopefully a good learning experience for all of us, and hope that you bounce back and you keep on working on your goals. Anyway, everybody else out there, stay safe. Like I said, I'm not going to stop you from experimenting. This is something you can learn from, but there are reasons why people don't do this. So before you push yourself too soon, too far, too quickly, then do know what you can and can't do. And if you break those limits, then you may find yourself risking these severe injuries. Anyway, this is NUSensei. Thank you for following along so far. I hope you are safe wherever you are in this current climate and condition, and hopefully we'll see you around on the range again next time.